From the Post-Millennial, TPUSA's All-American Halftime Show becomes highest-watched U.S. YouTube live stream with 6.17 million concurrent viewers. This is massive, and it was not just that 6.17 million. That's the single channel number. When you combine the total concurrent viewership, it actually rivals some of the biggest live streams ever done. Now, of course, you may be saying, well, hold on. There's got to be some bigger streams. And that's a lot of people. Yeah, soccer, internationally does really well. For the United States, this is the biggest YouTube's ever seen. And if you combine the, not using the Rumble numbers, but if you're saying just on YouTube, I think it's around like 9.5-ish. I think there's about 300 or 400,000 on Rumble and turned out to be a couple million. So this is tremendous. And it has massive cultural implications. So we have the latest numbers here. You've got 20,556,336 on the Turning Point channel. You've got Charlie Kirk Show channel with 3,883,221. And then on Rumble, of course, you've got 2.26 million. So big numbers, smashing success. Phil, you were saying a moment ago that the total household viewership for the Super Bowl was something like 46 million.
Yeah, from Samba TV, from @Samba_TV, 48.6 million U.S. household watched the 2026 Super Bowl, down 13% from 2025. 26.5 million U.S. households watched the Bad Bunny halftime show, down 39% from Kendrick Lamar. So
when was Kendrick Lamar?
It doesn't say. Let me see if I can find it.
Let's Google that.
But it's worth noting that as much as people are talking about this was the biggest ever, et cetera, even if people were sitting in the room.
That was last year.
Yeah, that was.
What was a 39% drop?
Yeah, 39% from Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar.
Wait, what?
I didn't realize it was such that Kendrick Lamar was as famous as he is. I'd heard of him, I knew his stuff, but I didn't realize he was as pervasive as he is. Yeah, I didn't know. But look, I mean,
it is Rumble Wallet on the App Store, my friends. You got to check it out. They can cancel your accounts. They can freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters now more than ever. Go to wallet.rumble.com. It's non-custodial. Okay, let's break this down. What does it mean? On the Rumble wallet, you can trade crypto with people who have accounts on Rumble. It's like an app where you can send people cash, but it's either Tether Gold, or Bitcoin, making it really easy for you to tip people on Rumble and pay somebody money you owe them. Maybe you're going to the store and you're like, hey, man, I want to get a slice of pizza. I didn't bring cash. Hey, let me Rumble wallet you some Tether, which is effectively tied. It is effectively U.S. dollars. It's tied to the U.S. dollar. There's no permission, no middleman, no cancel button. No one's banning you. No one's spending your accounts. Rumble has no control over this. There's no reality where Rumble can go in and ban you and shut down your ability to trade your currency. It is yours. It's not a credit line that can be shut off. It's your wallet, permanently yours. When the systems fail, institutions turn on their own people. Rumble Wallet is about politics. It's about freedom and ownership and protecting what's yours. So take control. Download Rumble Wallet now. Step away from the big banks. Go to wallet.rumble.com and check it out. We got a link for you too. I think it's okay. Well, that's not a good link I can say, but I'll have a link in the description below. Check it out.
People are talking about the Bad Bunny halftime show as if it's some big, huge thing. There was a lot of viewers. I don't think there were that many people, or I don't think that's representative of how many people were actually paying attention.
Wait. This means this is big. If these numbers are correct, this means that that Turning Point beat Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Are these correct?
This is from Samba TV. Their bio says we create data at the TV.
How much does Bad Bunny's record on YouTube have? Like, because I think they're just using household numbers through cable.
Yeah, I mean,
yes, but that's so. Here's the important thing to understand. Let me jump to this from the New York Times. They say Turning Point USA's All-American Halftime Show draws 6.1 million concurrent viewers on YouTube, and notice they don't include the 6.17. Because you could round it up to 6.2 or just say 6.17. And that's significant because the 6.15 was the previous second biggest YouTube stream ever. And then the first biggest was an Indian from India, Lunar Rover Lander, and that is 8 million. So this at 6.17 becomes the second biggest YouTube stream ever, and it becomes the biggest in the U.S. It's probably why the New York Times didn't include that little number, because I know it's only a little bit. But they say, while Turning Point USA drew over 6 million concurrents on YouTube, the television audience for the Bad Bunny halftime show is expected to be much larger. Last year, Kendrick Lamar's halftime concert drew 133.5 million views, the most for any Super Bowl halftime show. So here's the funny thing. Concurrent viewership compared to total views. Do you see how they lie to you? This is a lie. Concurrent viewership right now. I mean, on YouTube, we've got, 15,000 or something. 15,000 on YouTube, and then on Rumble, we've got, let's just do the math quickly. We got 13,000. That is not the full viewership of the show. And that's a ridiculous manipulation. That's the game they're playing. So people are now claiming that Bad Bunny reached that many individuals. The important thing to understand, and this is how they lie to you, okay? Let me tell you, there's a reason why people buy bots and they buy followers. Because, I don't even know if it matters or works anymore, because the industry is not going to play this game. Or, I don't know, maybe young people will play this game. But you go to a boomer who runs media, and they fall for this stuff hook, line, and sinker. They don't understand. And the Gen Z guys and gals flub the numbers, and it works.
Yep.
There are some shows that I won't name the individual involved who are accused of being fake, with fake followers, and they send out cold calls, cold emails, saying you should come on our podcast. We've got, X amount of followers. And then when the person responds with yes, they go, that'll be $10,000. And you know what happens is this 50-year-old marketing, staffer or booker for a boomer celebrity says, you really should do this. That's a younger crowd. And they fall for this stuff. So here's the important thing to understand. Let's say that Bad Bunny reached, these numbers are apocalyptic. If this is true, this is miserably bad, which is why I find it so hard to believe. 26.5 million U.S. households actually makes sense. When people were saying 134 million, I was like, that's wild. That includes international households. Mm-hmm. 48.6 million households watching the Super Bowl makes a lot of sense. It's a comparable number. Not everybody watches Super Bowl. It's a big show. I think usually the ratings are in like the 20 to 30 million or something like that in recent history. So this makes sense. And what you got to understand, a lot of people when it comes to households aren't actually watching.
Yep.
Streams, they are. Streams can be botted. I don't think Turning Point botted because it would be ineffective. The amount of money they have to spend to bot up to 10 million concurrents would I don't even know if they have I don't even know if they have the botnets to do that. Seriously, I mean 50,000, 100,000 maybe. They'd have to commandeer like the entire botnet industry, which makes no sense, especially considering it's Kid Rock and it's Turning Point. It's these people hate watch this stuff. So what happens is they will just say a number. But here's the important cultural distinction. First, let me just say it appears that Kid Rock, Turning Point USA, absolutely trounced the halftime show. The difference between the two is that the 27 million people who watched the Turning Point halftime show sought it out. And the 26.5 million households passively listened. I will stress the number of total people exposed to Bad Bunny is probably substantially greater. I was hanging out at MGM National Harbor. They got a big sports book, and there's everybody standing around. So these people are not paying attention. But based on licenses, they're going to calculate total capacity of this venue is 30,000. The TVs were on in every corner of the building. We're going to add that number, and they do this across the country. Bro, let me just tell you. Let me ask you the basic question. If you were selling a product, if you were trying to sell me some delicious pool water, would you prefer, I'll give you a choice, 10 people who will walk past you as you hold the bottle or one person who is coming to buy the bottle? Which would you pick?
Obviously, the one person.
Yeah, you can roll the dice on a 10X. Maybe they'll want my bottle of water and I can talk them into it. Or you take the guaranteed sale. You always take the win. So there is a massive value. If the number is true, they said he reached 134 million. That clearly is, I don't believe that's correct. Then, well, that's great. A lot of people will have heard of Bad Bunny, and that's what they're trying to do. But Kid Rock and Turning Point, people are actively seeking out. Yeah. So let me put it like this for the Super Bowl commercials. You are an advertiser who's buying the bump right before the show or after the show. You find out tons of people cut off the show. I mean, according to these numbers, around half of the people who watch Super Bowl stopped watching at the halftime show. Why would you want to spend money on that ad spot? You're probably going to be like, what's my return? There's two types of ads. Well, there's more than two types of ads, but there's two big ad sectors right now. And it's been the case for a while, but it's dominant right now the way media works. You've got generic advertising where Pepsi will go to a platform and say, here's $100 million, run our ads, thank you, have a nice day. They don't care if they get an ROI. They just want to be ubiquitous. Then there's ads that require direct sales. So, for instance, the sponsors we have on this show, when we do an ad read at the beginning of the show, if no one buys the product, they stop advertising because they don't have the insane budgets. So Super Bowl has that for sure. There's a lot of people who want Super Bowl commercials just to say they did. And there's a lot of people who fake Super Bowl commercials where they're like, here's our commercial, but we got rejected. If you spend $5 million and then find out you lost half your value and people went to Turning Point, and next year Turning Point says, do your commercial with us instead and we'll get you direct engagement, it's going to be very, very problematic for the NFL.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a couple things that I wanted to mention about this. First of all, people don't realize there's only 560 million Spanish speakers in the world, and there's 1.5 billion English speakers, right? Like, so I think that matters. Like, the idea of doing a Super Bowl halftime show in Spanish, I think that it was part of a broader attempt at basically subversion, right? I think that the idea of the Super Bowl is that it's very much a all-American thing. You saw people on X and consistently saying, well, you know, it is American. It's very American. Puerto Rico's part of America. It's American. And the way that Bad Bunny, that one part of the performance, he had all these flags from all over South America. And the point that he was actually trying to get across was North America and South America are America, and that there shouldn't be borders. This is a very subversive idea, and it's something that the global left does frequently. They say that, oh, it's one America, like all of America, North and South America. That's very different from the United States of America. When you say you're an American to someone else, if you're from the United States, you mean you're from the United States. People from South America don't say I'm an American when they're talking, especially if they're talking to someone from a different country, right? So they're talking to someone from Europe, talking to someone from Switzerland. They don't say, oh, I'm an American. They would say I'm from Ecuador. They would say I'm from Brazil. So it's a really, and the fact that there's so many people on X that are pushing this narrative kind of shows how subversive it is, right? They're trying to delegitimize the United States as an entity.
And
that's just one aspect of it. So a lot, like The Hill was saying that it was that bad. I think it was The Hill, and I might be wrong on that. But what I saw a post from one of the news, you know, the legacy news industries, they said that this was a performance without politics, right? Which is totally being part of the subversion. They're engaging in the subversive effort there. And then you get something like Jacobin or the DSA, and they come right out and say it. They post on X. They're like, this was political. This is about how bad America is, et cetera. And as much as I think it's a terrible thing, at least the DSA and Jacobin are honest about it. You know?
Yeah. Well, the bad news for American conservatives who are celebrating this, saying, look at our tremendous victory, is that you got kicked out.
Yep.
You got kicked out, and you're hanging out outside the arena with all of your old fans being like, wasn't our show better? And they're inside the institution saying, we don't care what you guys are doing. We have your castle. They've stormed the castle, broken in, taken it over, kicked you out, and conservatives are outside now celebrating their victory in the fields.
Just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, I think Turning Point, and in particular Eric Kirk, did a fantastic job, a superb job offering, conservatives often talk about this parallel economy to don't give your money to people who obviously hate you. And it's pretty clear that Bad Bunny and people associated with him hate conservatives and right wingers in our country. So they did an effective job at getting people to tune into something different. And in the right wing, I actually think they flop when they try doing this very often.
Yeah.
There are people trying to make right wing music or right wing TV shows or right wing companies that always flop. But to have 20+ million people tune in, I think is an amazing thing. I think think it's worth mentioning too that this is like the first big thing that Turning Point has done in like the post Charlie Kirk era, and it's a triumph.
It's massive.
There's also one last thing, something to be said about all the desperate, pathetic vultures and unreliable narrators who just try to drag down Turning Point. This is an amazing triumph, but still people online willing to say, oh, this only got a couple of 100,000 views or whatnot, or only a couple thousand concurrent viewers, and like are really just trying to advance any BS, no matter how wrong it may be, because of whatever beefs or gripes they have with Turning Point. And it feels like a demoralization effort. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs where we're at with that stuff. This is an amazing job that Erica Kirk has done. The parallel economy stuff, it's the first time I've seen it done effectively on the right wing. So like really good job and kudos to her.
To go on that point of the parallel economy and outside the castle protesting the people inside, but that sends a message to the people in the castle. And if they see a huge drop in the numbers from last year's halftime show, the Super Bowl and the NFL are going to realize they actually have to appeal to that conservative audience. So the conservative audience is going to do their own thing and take viewers away from the Super Bowl. Obviously, they're not going to take it away from the game, but they're going to take it away from the halftime show. And it puts out a conservative culture of like, this is the culture we want to promote, and we're going to do a professional job about it. I thought it was an incredible job. It was very professional, state of the art, and it was good.
And honestly, limited budget. I was actually surprised. When the halftime show was about to begin, I pulled up my phone and saw 3.4 million concurrent viewers, which is insane. Tweeted about it. And then it peaked around 6.17. So I don't want to just be Debbie Downer on this one. Obviously, you're kicked out of the castle. I think it's an important point. You need to understand where you're at. The institution has been taken from you. But this is the move to get it back. Because like I was mentioning with advertisers, what happens when a company says, listen, you're asking me to pay you $5 million to hold up a sign in front of 26 million households as they walk by. The commercials come on, everyone runs to the bathroom, they go to the kitchen, they grab snacks. These are not people who are actively engaged with the promotion. The commercials are kind of gags. Everybody wants to watch a Super Bowl commercial. In fact, some people watch it more for the commercials. Then you've got 27 million people in short notice decided to tune in to Turning Point of their own volition. So again, if I'm selling delicious pool water and you said it's 5 million for 26 million households during the halftime show, I say, okay. And then Turning Point says 5 million for our show where people have chosen to seek us out. I say, okay, I want that because your engagement's going to be substantially higher. Your conversions will be substantially higher and mission driven. The important thing you need to understand about what the pitfalls, the problems they're going to face is the Bad Bunny show was elitist driven and Turning Point USA is grassroots driven. So with the NFL show, you have powerful elites saying we want Bad Bunny either because we want to promote his music, we want an international audience, and because he pushes a political message that we like. Regular people don't care. They are not driven to support that by some ideology. Puerto Ricans, maybe. So I wouldn't be surprised if they killed it in the Puerto Rican households. But with our members at Timcast.com, Rumble Premium members, you've got mission-driven engagement. These are people who are saying, I will pay $10 extra because it means so much more to me. The people who are going to buy a product watching the Super Bowl, I saw a commercial for a Vanda Pharmaceuticals, I think it is. They got those weird commercials. And it was one of the creepiest commercials because it was just a white screen with their logo. And people pointed out how creepy it was. Yeah, I don't care about your company. I've heard of it. Congratulations, I said your name. I'm not going to buy your product. I'm not going to ask my doctor about it. But imagine, because I don't even know who sponsored Turning Point, but we know Turning Point as the principal name. How many people signed up for Turning Point because of what they just did? How much more money are they going to bring in? I'd imagine a lot. If Turning Point had a big sponsor promoting a product, I guarantee you more people are going to be buying it because the product is supporting something they care about.
Yeah. I also kind of wanted to be concise. I have my particular beefs with the Bad Bunny halftime show. I didn't like that it was all in Spanish, but all things considered, I think it was relatively tame because in other instances, Bad Bunny is a cross-dresser. Bad Bunny bitches about ICE. But in the show, he didn't do any of the cross-dressing. He had a message on the football, but it wasn't like F ICE, and he could have done a lot worse. So all things considered, I think I was pissed that everything was in Spanish. Ooh. But another way to look at this, though, is that Bad Bunny's an American. He's from Puerto Rico. No, he's the number one Spanish-speaking artist in the world. So the number one Spanish-speaking artist is from America, is an American. So this is the version of American soft power. What are you confused about?
He's American.
I'm saying he's not an American.
Yes, he is.
He's Puerto Rican.
I know that Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. But if you were to ask Bad Bunny wouldn't say that he's an American.
He's a citizen despite that.
He would say that he is a Puerto Rican. He would not say.
Okay, he could be confused about his core identity as an American.
Let's just make something clear. He is factually an American citizen. He would probably argue, and that's proven because at the show he carried the flag of Puerto Rican independence.
And
he also listed Puerto Rico as separate from America because they all kept saying like Puerto Rico is part of America, and then
but he's still a
why
product.
is it listed separate?
You're right, but the point that I'm making is he does not consider himself an American. The point of him having the Puerto Rican flag with the light blue is that it was the flag that was not the same as the American.
Look, Puerto Ricans love to bitch and moan about their they want to be independent, they don't want to be independent. They don't like being an American territory. But here's the thing. His experiences come from being an American. And also, he speaks a version of Spanish that is actually a uniquely American version of Spanish. His Puerto Rican Spanish, not all Hispanics could totally understand. But this is actually a uniquely American artist. And now America, an American, is the number one Hispanic artist in the Hispanic world. I think there's something about the soft power that comes along with that.
Your argument about Bad Bunny has an opinion doesn't change the fact that it's factually true. He's an American.
He's an American. He grew up in an American territory.
I gave that, like I consented to that part. But the point that I'm making is he does not want to be an American. He doesn't consider himself American. And this is totally a subversion tactic. It's about being subversive.
Yeah, I think it's very American. It's very American to bitch about your country as an American.
It's not subversive. It's overt. He literally said, God bless America, and then listed all of the countries of the continents.
Well, but the reason I say it's subversion is because the average person doesn't pick up on that stuff. The average football guy doesn't realize that what he's trying to do is subversion. What he's trying to do is delegitimize the United States as a nation.
We got to grab this tweet from Ryan Long. He said, if I was running for president of a Latin country, my platform would be to bring the people a second drum beat. Dude, it's so true. The videos of the Super Bowl during Bad Bunny's performance are creepy. Have you seen? There's a bunch of them. Nobody knows him. Nobody knows his music. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Okay, it's the craziest thing that I make a tweet where I'm like, the show's fine. You know, whatever. I'm not a big fan. I understand it. And all these liberals are like, the conservatives, they're freaking out. They hate it so much. And I'm like, I think he's all right. I don't know. I'm like, he's a Latin rapper. I'm like, he was always allowed to like that. A lot of people speak Spanish. I speak a little bit, but not really. And you're allowed to like it. You know, people will make fun of me for listening to like pop punk or something. That's fine. You know, Green Day sucks, but you got some other good bands. And old Green Day was pretty good. And that was always allowed. The issue I have, okay, now that I've cleared the air, is that as somebody who doesn't speak that much Spanish, mi español no es bueno. Es muy malo. Very small. Un poquito. I can speak a little bit. Not very good. I can't understand a word of what is being said in any of his songs, but here's what matters. Despacito is one of the best songs ever written. Everybody knows the melody, and you don't know the words, but you can get the melody going.
Fake your way through it.
Yeah, you can fake. I mean, to a Spanish speaker, you're saying gibberish. You guys ever hear that song, Princeton, Colonense, ein Chusel?
No.
You don't know that one?
Maybe I have, but I don't know it.
Super famous song from Italy in the 70s where an Italian guy sang gibberish with an American accent. And he says, this is how American music sounds to Italians. And it was super popular. I listened to Despacito, Gangnam Style, The Macarena, and I'm like, these songs I know. If they played Bohemian Rhapsody in Spanish, I could sing that. Great. I could sing it. Not in Spanish, but I would know the song. Every song from Bad Bunny was... And I'm like, there's no melody to latch onto. I don't know what he's saying.
He's like, I like.
You don't want to know what he's saying.
I know it's really
A is in there, so you understood A.
I disagree with a lot of Public Enemy's political stuff, but I do agree with some of it. And so it's really interesting to listen to some old school hip hop rap Public Enemy stuff, and you're like, hey, some of that's not bad. We don't disagree on everything. I do got an issue with the line where he says Farrakhan's a prophet that I think you ought to listen to. What you
ought to do is follow for now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great song, but that one line.
Bring the noise, man. Bring the noise. I love that song.
It's good.
It's a great song.
But I know what he's saying. It's got melodic backdrops. All the Bad Bunny stuff was same drum beat and him just speaking Spanish. And I was like, this doesn't like. There's nothing for me to attach to. And then when you watch the videos of it, the people in the stands are just standing there like, not really doing anything. And so here's the point that I made, the ultimate point. You go to a bar. I know you all know the answer to this. What's the one you can go to a multicultural neighborhood in New York City, and if you put on this one song, everyone will sing. There's one song. Everyone will start singing if you turn it on.
Back in Black?
Nope.
Billie Jean?
Nope.
The Macarena?
Nope.
Closing Time?
Nope.
What is it?
You think some like
Si me pregunta.
that's
His biggest song.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh.
Everybody knows it. You go to a bar and you put on Bohemian Rhapsody, everyone's singing. Bro, I told the story this morning. So the first story I love to tell is that we were at Long Shots in just outside of Charlestown. It's a pool bar. You should check it out. And people of all different backgrounds. I put on Bohemian Rhapsody. Everybody starts singing. Bohemian Rhapsody ends. Then some like random top 40 R&B comes on. Everybody stops, goes back to their business, and all you hear is muttering. No one cares about the song anymore. Mm-hmm. We were at a resort over the holiday, and I was in the hot tub with Richie Jackson, among others. It's a great resort, Namacolin. Recommend it. And Richie made a joke where he looked at one of our friends and said, "Open your eyes." And then I said, "Look up to the sky and see." Instantly, everybody in the hot tub was singing Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm not even kidding. Some guy with his kid, the lady in front of us, Richie started singing, and I was like, oh, what have I done? But everybody, the point is, the halftime show should be something like that. So they could have salvaged this with Bad Bunny if they had at least one other artist who was singing in English, something that they could understand, instead of just
the fact that it was exclusively in Spanish was kind of frustrating. Like there was no English songs.
Well, they did briefly have Lady Gaga to come out to sing in English, but it wasn't like a song that even most people would know. And
Didn't even notice.
And then it was nobody noticed because it could have been the one response to people. Oh, you said it was all in Spanish, but what about the Lady Gaga part? But no one remembered that. And I think people are just wanting to say they thought this was the best halftime performance to own the Trump supporters, to own MAGA, because it's meant as a middle finger to them and to say, hey, this is our country now, and we're going to do we're going to make it as unpleasant as possible for you and piss you off as much as possible. And then that's why they were so eager to mock the MAGA or the Turning Point USA alternate halftime show. They wanted to claim that they have a superior culture and they own it, and the MAGA judge just have to deal with it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.